Welcome back to Rich Words Music, where today we're answering some of life's most important questions when it comes to Strat style guitars. Now, the original idea that I had for this video was going to be a simple comparison between these two, the Ibanez AZES31 and the Ibanez AZES40. These are both part of Ibanez's AZES, AZ Essentials lineup. They're both around €300 or dollars, and they are guitars that are clearly influenced by the Fender Stratocaster. Now, everyone knows Strats, they're an iconic design, but there are a couple of key considerations, a couple of key issues when it comes to Strats, and these two guitars have those two key differences, and that's what we're going to discuss today alongside the traditional A-B comparison. So the AZES31 has 3 single coil pickups, which is what we call an SSS Strat, and the AZES40 has a humbucking pickup in the bridge, and that's what we refer to as an HSS type of Strat. Now, many people would say that HSS Strats are generally more versatile and suited to higher gain sorts of playing than traditional SSS types of Strats, but it's a very big conversational. You'll find loads online on forums about these two kinds of guitar pickup configurations. Which is better for what kind of player? Which should you buy? We're going to try and answer that question in this video. And the second key difference between these two guitars is in the bridge. As you'll see, the AZES40 here has the standard vibrato bridge, or the trem as Fender would call it, and the AZES31 here has a hardtail bridge. Now that has implications for how you play, it has implications for your vibrato obviously, and it also has implications for tuning stability. And I think personally that that's not as big a question as the pickup configuration question, but it's something that I find very interesting. So we're going to discuss that too, and we're going to find out which works best for which kinds of player. So what we're going to do in the rest of this video is then first, let me tell you about the specs of the two guitars very briefly. Then we're going to play them in a bunch of different styles and do the tone A-B, and afterwards we'll speak a little bit more in detail about those differences and which one might be right for you. So I'll pop down the AZES40. Now this is the AZES31. The basic specs of both of these two guitars are very, very similar, so I'm going to go over them very briefly in this video. If you want to watch more detailed videos, reviews, demos of both of these guitars, they are elsewhere on my channel. Find them afterwards. The Ibanez AZES guitars share most of their specifications, so you've got poplar bodies on both of them, maple necks and Jatoba fingerboards with 22 medium frets. The scale length on both guitars is 25 inches and the fingerboard radius on both is 10 inches. Up at the headstock you have Ibanez's own tuners, and the neck itself is satin finished. The neck profile is a rather nice slim to medium C shape. Now when it comes to the body as well, you've got a few things which are Ibanez's own. You've got this chunky and super durable jack socket there, which I think is a really great invention and should last a lot longer than many of the other cheap jack sockets that you'll see made out of metal on other affordable guitars. The bridges, that's one of the big differences of course. We've got just a hardtail bridge on the AZES31 versus the vibrato trem bridge on the AZES40, and the pickups is the other main difference, and let's go through those now, because this being Ibanez, you also get something different. Now on a traditional Strat type guitar with 3 single coils, you have a 5-way switch. Up at the neck here, in the first position you have just access to the neck pickup. In the second position you have neck and middle. In the third, just the middle pickup. In the fourth, the middle and the bridge pick up together. And in the fifth, just the bridge. That's going to be the same with an HSS guitar as well. Of course, you've just got the humbucker in the bridge there. The one extra thing that these AZES guitars have though is this little switch here called the Alter Switch that gives you extra tonalities. And if you're starting to get confused here because you've already heard about the 5-way switch, don't worry. You'll hear the playing part in a bit, and I will always have texts on screen to tell you what pickup settings are being used at any one time, just to reduce the confusion as much as possible. So normally in the neck position you'd have just the neck pickup, but with the Alter Switch on you actually have the neck and middle pickups in series, almost like a neck humbucker. Now when you go to the middle position on this guitar, normally in standard mode you just have the middle pickup, but if you flick on the Alter Switch you then have the neck and bridge together and no middle pickup. So that's a really cool and different Strat type tone. And down at the bridge, normally you just have the bridge single coil, but you flick on the Alter Switch and then you have access to the bridge and middle together in series, so almost like a bridge humbucker, or an approximation of it anyway. So those are the extra switching options on the AZES31. And the AZES40 has even more when it comes to switching options. Now it has those standard 5 Stratty ones as before, so you've got neck and middle, middle and bridge, and then just bridge. But with the Alter Switch you have even more options. So in the neck position with the Alter Switch on, again you have the neck and middle together in series, rather like a neck humbucker. If you go to the next position with the Alter Switch on, you have access to the neck pickup and the outer coil of the bridge humbucker. So that's kind of like the third Alter Switch setting on the AZES31. Again, if you're confused, so am I, but get to the playing part and all will be revealed. Now in the middle position, as standard, you just have the middle pickup, but with the Alter Switch on, you have the bridge humbucker and also the neck and middle in series. So it's almost like having two humbuckers here, almost like if you've got a Les Paul in the middle pickup position with both humbuckers on. Now, it's traditionally here in the second position, you'd have access to the middle pickup here and the first half of the humbucker, so that's kind of the in-between Strat quacky tone. But if you flick up the Alter Switch here and turn it on, that disengages the middle pickup and you just have access to the first half of the humbucker here, the first coil set, and that actually gives you a pretty decent approximation of a single coil Strat bridge pickup, which we're going to hear in a minute. When you go down to the fifth position here, the back as many people call it, you just have access to the bridge humbucker. So those are the pickup settings and configurations on these two guitars. They're like standard Strats, but with even more options. And so what we're going to do now is play them, and we're going to go through as many different musical genres and styles as I possibly can, just so we can hear the main differences and also the main similarities between these two guitars, because they do sound very similar for the most part, and they would do with the specs, but they do sound quite different when it comes to other things too, and that's what you're going to hear now. So my rig for today is going to be my Hughes & Kettner Black Spirit 200. I might throw in my Greer Lightspeed Organic Overdrive and my Rev G3 for some metal stuff near the end as well, but there will always be texts on screen to show you what exactly is going on. Let's play the Ibanez AZES guitars and we'll get more into that Strat pickup and bridge based discussion afterwards. Okay then, so that was my tonal comparison between the SSS and the HSS Strat type guitars, the two Ibanez AZES models, and I hope you enjoyed the playing and the tones. And I hope that this video has opened your eyes a little bit to the differences and also the similarities between these two different pickup configurations, and also between the two different bridge options that you have when it comes to Strat type guitars. I want you, yes you, to leave me a comment down there telling me which you prefer, SSS or HSS. Maybe tell me why, and I look forward to getting into a bit of a discussion down there. But let me go on and tell you my thoughts about these guitars and also about the bigger Strat questions. Now, as I've said before, I have done full and thorough videos of both of these two AZES guitars elsewhere on my channel, which you can watch when you have the time to do that. And they both are excellent instruments for around the $300 euro or pounds mark, a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on where you live. They're really, really good instruments. I've played a bunch of Squiers in my time, and these are obviously kind of competing against the Squier sort of guitars of this world, and I feel that the AZES guitars really match up to any Squier that I've ever played, and they even match up to some of the Mexican Fenders that I've played recently as well. So they're really, really nice instruments. If you're going to get one, budget in a setup as well, and you'll have a really, really awesome guitar that you can grow with for a long time. In terms of build quality, in terms of playability, in terms of feel, and in terms of the tones too, I really like both of these guitars, and I would really have no hesitation in recommending both of these AZES guitars. If you're looking for something Stratty at around this sort of a price point, I think you'd be really, really hard pushed to find something better. Okay then, so now it's time to discuss those two bigger questions when it comes to Stratocaster type guitars. And I think the main one that everyone wants to talk about is the sounds. Are you an SSS person or are you an HSS person? Well, I think that it's definitely a decision that you have to make based on the kinds of music that you like to play. And as we've heard from these two guitars already, when it comes to the neck and middle sounds, they're very, very similar. So the HSS versus SSS story is really going to be down to the bridge pickup. For some people it's going to be down to the middle and bridge together settings, because some people say that you can't quite get those quacky sort of in-between Strat tones with an HSS Strat, but that's something that you'll only really want if you're playing funky stuff, if you want to do John Mayer-y type things. It's a choice that you'll have to make for yourself and test it out for yourself before you make a purchase too. But the real thing here, I think, is when you're using the bridge pickup, when you're really letting rip. Are you playing rock or are you playing country? Do you want to do metal or do you just want to play blues? That's really going to dictate the kind of pickup that you want to have in your bridge position. Now, if you've just got a single coil pickup in your bridge, you can play high gain stuff, and we've demonstrated that in the video. It can do metal, but it's not as good and it's not as authentic as the humbucker for doing that kind of stuff. Similarly, if you have a bridge single coil, the more you up the gain, the more hum that you're going to get. With a humbucker, you don't have that kind of hum. Now, when it comes to the humbucker itself, that offers many advantages for all of the high gain stuff that we did, for everything from the classic rock to the heavier rock, the punk, and the metal as well. It really is beefier, it has more of that mid-range push, it's fuller, it's fatter, and it's thicker, so it's more suited for that kind of thing. I would say that the single coil wins out when it comes to biting clarity, and if biting clarity is what you want, a bridge single coil pickup on a Stratocaster type guitar has that in absolute spades. Now, when it comes to the specific alter switches on these two guitars, they do give you approximations of what the other guitar can offer. So when you put the two pickups here together on the AZES31, when you run them in series by turning on the alter switch in the bridge position, I find that that's a pretty decent sound, but it's a little bit boomier than a standard humbucker, and it actually doesn't really sound like a humbucker. If you really want a bridge humbucker, you absolutely have to buy buy a bridge humbucker. When it comes to the AZES40, I actually think that that guitar's approximation of a single coil Strat bridge pickup is better than the AZES31's approximation of a bridge humbucker, if you get what I mean. I really find that the single coil bridge setting on the AZES40 is pretty convincing, and you'll have heard that in a couple of the sound samples. I really think that it's quite close to sounding like a proper bridge pickup. So overall then, when it comes to these pickup types, I believe personally that the HSS pickup configuration offers you a little bit more versatility. It will do everything from really classic pristine cleans through to full-on modern day metal. It's a guitar that can do everything, and I think that's why a lot of more modern players do like to have an HSS pickup. I would say that if you're really going to miss the bridge single coil, then you need to get a Strat with a single coil in the bridge and get another guitar for your humbucker type sounds if that's what you need. So that's what I think when it comes to the sound argument. And when it comes to choosing what kind of bridge you want on your Strat type guitar, again, what kind of music are you going to play? Are you going to need a vibrato? Do you want to use the wiggle stick? Do you want to make those sorts of sounds? Because if you do, you absolutely have to buy a Strat type guitar with a vibrato on it. If you're someone like me who doesn't really use one at all though, you can get away with a hardtail bridge no problem. I absolutely love the hardtail bridge option on the AZES31. It's really comfy and easy for me to play. I rest my hand on it quite a lot, and I just find that the perfect option. The one other massive advantage of a hardtail bridge is the fact that it offers better tuning stability. Now the more you use a vibrato, the more you dig in with it, the more that's going to put your strings out of tune. So if you're not really sure whether you'd want one of those, I would recommend you test one out first before buying. And if you don't think you're ever going to use one, try and get a hardtail Strat type bridge if you can, because that really is going to make your life a lot easier when it comes to not having to tune the guitar as much. Overall then, we've learned three very important things from this video, or at least I think we have. Firstly, we've learned that the Ibanez AZES guitars are excellent. They're super versatile, they'll cover pretty much any kind of musical ground that you would want them to, and in terms of the value for money, they're pretty much unbeatable. Secondly, we've talked about which of the pickup configurations is better for a Strat type guitar, SSS or HSS. And my personal conclusion, based on everything we've heard and what I've just spoken about today, would be that you have to choose what's right for you. And I would say personally that overall an HSS set is going to give you extra versatility. However, if you really want the bridge single coil sounds, get yourself a single coil Strat guitar, or get yourself the AZES40, because that does a very good bridge single coil approximation as well. Thirdly, then, we've learned that when it comes to bridges on Strats, you really have to pick the kind that you think is going to best suit your music. But I would say that my advice is, if you don't really need a vibrato, don't get one. Get a hardtail bridge if you can, because that will improve your tuning stability. And overall, at the very end of the day, which of the two Ibanez AZES guitars do I prefer? Well, I have to say that personally I prefer the AZES31 because it has the hardtail bridge, and I just find that makes my playing experience a lot easier. It makes me have to worry less about tuning the guitar up more. The tuning stability on the AZES40 is pretty good, and with a setup it could be improved even more. But for me, a hardtail bridge is where it's at. However, if I could choose, I would get Ibanez to make me a custom guitar, maybe the Ibanez AZES38 or something like that. It would be a hardtail version with a humbucker in the bridge, and I think that would give me the ultimate tuning stability and the ultimate tonal versatility as well. It would be amazing if Ibanez would make one of those in future. I'm crossing my fingers to see if they do, and Ibanez, if you're watching this video, do it. We'll make a Rich Words music signature model, and I think it will be an absolute top seller. Maybe, possibly not. But anyway, I hope this video has answered some of your questions about the Ibanez AZES range of guitars, and also about Stratocasters, Strat bridges and Strat pickup configurations. If you have any more questions, don't forget, you can always ask me down in the comments down there. I do my best to answer as many as I can. And if you're still around, it would make my day if you would consider giving this video a like, or maybe even subscribing to the Rich Words Music channel. I've got plenty more videos on these guitars and many other similar affordable items of music gear. And if you want to watch videos about any more of those, a couple more are being recommended there and there. And you can even sub to me by clicking my little face in the corner of the screen there. But that's been it for today's video. I've been Rich for Rich Words Music, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.